Loveland, Ohio. Hello again and welcome to the BPA King of Bowling. I'm Steve Physiak along with Dave Neurath, and today we close our final chapter of the BPA television series, and I know we've got 4 outstanding bowlers in Cincinnati today.
I'm really looking forward to it, Steve. Between the 4 of them, 16 300 games.
Well, Dave Neurath saw the qualifying action yesterday, and it was fantastic right here at Loveland Lanes. Let's take a look.
Yesterday at Loveland Lanes, the scene of our 1984 roll-off to find our king for this year. All the contestants that you've seen here on BPA, King of Bowling, this man, D. Hall, was the leader. 1368. Brilliant shooting all day. Right behind him, Earl Weatherford, finishing with a blaze. His last 3 games, 689 for our second spot on today's show. Jim Vetter, in and out of the top 10 all day long, finishing total 1348, and we're going to see him in our first match. Against this man, Tim Sharp, finishing with a strong 701 for a 1333 series. Greg Lothian in 4th position all day long, needs this strike to make the show. Falling just 4 pins short, 199 his last game. You remember this face? Rick Hensley, our 1983 champion from Delfair Lanes, edging out Bill Heflin by 1 pin. Many of the members of the field didn't fare too well, but everyone cashed today. 34 men competing for the right to appear on today's show. D. Hall, Earl Weatherford, Jim Vetter, Tim Sharp, all of which we'll be seeing today, one of which will be leaving with a check for $1,800. And should one of those contestants bowl a perfect 300 game today, on behalf of the BPA and the Hudepohl Brewing Company, $10,000 will be presented for a perfect game. Big and small, short and tall, everyone had a good time. Some people fared a little better than others. And our guest, celebrity guest, didn't do too well. Vice President George Bush didn't fare too well, but we all had fun. And
I think we're going to have to wait for George Bush to cash his check a little bit east of us in Washington, D.C.
Well, George didn't qualify, needless to say, but we had a great time here yesterday at Loveland, and I think today we're going to have a great time too, Steve. Big games.
Coming up, Tim Sharp against Jim Vetter. That's next on the BPA King of Bowling.
BPA King of Bowling. Brought to you by the Hudepohl Brewing Company, America's great small brewery.
Hey, Dad, what are we going to do this weekend?
Jim Vetter, and those are the trophies these gentlemen will be going for here at Loveland Lanes. That and an $1,800 first prize. Again, Jim Vetter against Tim Sharp here in the opener. Jim Vetter will lead the way. Just 22 years old. His bowling average is 201. We were talking about 300 games. This is the only man who is still looking for his first 300 game in his career. He's 3 shy of that at a 297. Opens by leaving 2.
Opening the match with the 2-5, Steve. It's a typical leave for a light pocket shot. It means you're in the area, but you just didn't quite get there.
Picks up the spare, and you hear the applause as we'll now move to Tim Sharp. We saw him earlier, just about a month ago, and he was bowling very well at that time.
You know, was that at Seymour Lanes, a house that Tim Sharp always bowls well in. He's here today to prove that it's not just a one-house bowler, that's for sure. The identical lead there, Steve. In addition to the 2-5, Tim also has the 4-pin. The 4-pin in this case is not the tough pin at all. The trouble is chopping the 2 off of the 5 sometimes.
These bowlers have had just a little bit of weight this morning, perhaps anxious to get going. Well, Jim Vedder and Tim Sharp pick up their spares, and we are tied after 1.
Tim Sharp filled the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th frames with marks, while Jim Vedder opened in the 2nd and 3rd, opening the door. We now rejoin action in the 4th frame. More direct. And it worked.
Exactly what you talked about. He did. He didn't hook it as much. Went right to the right of the head pin, and as you would say, every pin doing its job.
That's right, Stephen. Excellent adjustment. It had to be made before he was arcing the ball out to about the 8th board. This much more direct line, perfectly in the pocket. Every pin just looking for a place to get out of the way of his ball. Let's see if he can parlay it into a double. He's got to have it to get going.
Leaves just the 1, but again, he was going for the more direct approach, and it's interesting that you should pick that up, and Jim picked that up just as well because he was sweeping that hook into start, and all of a sudden flattens out his game, and you can see the success.
Yeah, he's going to have more success with that now. He's going to have to fine-tune it a little bit also, but he's got much better chance with that than he did with the other style of delivery, that's for sure.
Well, we see a great deal of polish, of poise, and also a thinking man's game right there to make the adjustment and to make it successful and to be able to adjust.
Let's see if Tim Sharp can also make the adjustment, because he likewise has been going light. He has.
Tim perhaps taking the instruction from Jim Vedder, seeing the success, coming back with the strike, and as you talked about, the adjustment right here.
You can see it here again. He was looping the ball out considerably more than he was. 9th board. This ball holding tight right around the 12th board. Now going into a great roll. That's a perfect strike. Absolutely perfect. 10 pins in the pit, Steve.
He's had 3 300 games in his career. Again, he flattens it out. And again, he drives it through, and like Jim Vedder on his 2nd opportunity after making the adjustment, he will leave 1 pin.
Well, now both players have to fine-tune their shot on the left lane next time, both of which look comfortable on the right lane. Tim Sharp going a little high with his release, possibly even making an adjustment off of Jim Vedder's delivery, Steve. Seeing that Jim moved inside, went more direct, perfect on the right lane, and then going light on the left lane. Perhaps he adjusted himself and then went a little high.
Just did catch it, and Jim kind of smiled at him, saying, I thought that was going to go straight right on by.
This is great here. From the floor, we're watching the ball roll over. Revolutions, you hear us talking about it all the time. There it is in action. You actually see the ball rolling over.
Tell you think those things are easy to knock over. Dave and I were in the back watching the machines turn over, and we were talking about the fact that each pin must weigh between 3.2 and 3.8.
Yeah, 3 pounds 2 ounces, and the legal limit is considerably up there, but 3 pounds 2 ounces is the lowest any of the pins can weigh.
Well, that is the 2nd open frame that Jim Vedder has, but I understand the ABC is trying to make it one formula, like a 3-5, 3-6 pin.
Yeah, standardization. 84 for Jim, having his trouble today. Open frames will kill you. We're always talking about that. Concentration. Get up. There you go. There you go. That'll loosen him up.
Jimbo came back gleaming on that one. Tim Sharp.
Let's take a look at it here. He's going to trust this shot. He is going to go into a roll here. Now the ball, head pin, going to the wall, center your screens, coming off, really going to do some damage. Last pin out of there, the 2-pin. Jim Vetter. Hopefully can get started here.
That was perfect.
Tim Sharp is not going to wait around for anybody, and I think he's going to go now.
Again, he's a young man who's really been working at his game. He said he bowled between 10, 15 times this week, just gearing up for this. And then, of course, the qualifying yesterday right here at Loveland. He, too, performed perfectly. And now must contain the pressure that is being applied from Jim Vetter.
More speed. More speed, and it paid off.
Was able to drop that 7, and that was the final pin to fall.
Let's take a look at it here. He went with more speed. He went high before. Now this ball holds the line, goes into a roll. Again, the head pin doing most of the work, coming off the wall, throwing the 4-pin into the 5, and then taking out the 7. Jim Vetter has to start striking. And we'll take one over there.
Over on the Brooklyn side, he sweeps across, but it reacted perfectly as a head pin swept to the right.
He's happy, but concerned. He knows that that was not a really good shot, even though he got a great break. Jim has to continue to throw strikes the rest of this game to keep the pressure on. He's 34 pins down right now with 2 frames to go. Brooklyn again, maybe?
That was heavy. And it leaves the 6 and 10. Should be an easy spare.
We can see it here on the replay. Steve, he's not happy with the shot when it lets go. The ball is going to cross over, but not enough to strike. Just enough to leave him a spare, and it's just about over.
Vetter does pick it up easily. And it continues to move on. Tim Sharp with right now.
Well, I tell you what, though, $500 isn't too bad. He's 34 pins down. His opponent has a double working. It's next to impossible to break down the lead at this time. It's all over.
Sweeps him aside, and Tim Sharp can change that lead and pads it just a bit. He has been there before. He can handle the pressure. He's been on the King of Bowling show in 1977, 1979, 1981, 1983, and now his 5th year, 1984, trying to win that big trophy and that $1,800 first prize.
Mathematically, Stephen, it's all over.
That certainly helps things.
He's getting lined up for the next game. He knows that things are going to get tougher. He knows that he's going to meet this man right here, Earl Weatherford.
You talk about, if we're talking about comedians, classic funny guys in the tour, it'd have to be Earl Weatherford, always with the quick line. I asked him about Jim Vetter's game. I said, what is his weakness? And he says, when I drop the ball on his foot.
That'd be something to bother anybody. Well, $500 for Jim Vetter, super young bowler. He's going to be around for a lot of years, and next year we'll see him season just a little bit more, learn just a little bit more, and he'll be back, no doubt in my mind. Keeping score for us today, Greg Lothian. Tough break yesterday. I was out here watching all the boys bowl, and Greg probably threw the ball as well as anybody. Just could not finish quite strong enough to appear on the telecast, but Greg is another great young bowler that I'm high on. He finished 5th, $250. Tom Cushman finished 6th, $150. Just a few pins behind, and there's Chris Woods. $100, Terry Ciccone, $100 for 8th, Rick Hensley, $95, and so on and so on. Everybody made money yesterday.
Well, Jim will be able to pick up his check today, but he will watch as Tim Sharp will continue on in our BPA King of Bowling Final Series Championship against Earl Weatherford in our next game, but Vetter again must close it out here. A chance at a 2.
170. Poor Jim. 160 something, but that's fine. He's a good bowler. He'll be back.
Indeed. And we will come back with our next game. Tim Sharp against Earl Weatherford in a moment.
Many people would say it's impossible to improve on a Hudie, but we've done just that. With carefully selected grains and special aromatic hops, the result, better flavor and a smoother, richer, more satisfying beer. We call it Hudie Gold. No other beer in America is brewed with more expert personal care. Try the new golden taste of Hudie Gold.
The better beers of Hudepohl, Hudepohl.
Tim Sharp, by way of a 225, moves on to play Earl Weatherford in our championship BPA King of Bowling here at Loveland Lanes. But it has been that kind of activity all year long, Dave.
All year long is right, Steve. 12 weeks, fantastic bowling. Let's take a look.
Week number 1, Delfair Lanes. Don Scudder captured the first week king title by defeating Tim Weisbrod 236 to 197. Week number 2, Brentwood Bowl. Terry George going up against our king, Don Scudder, held a slim lead going into the 6th frame, but Don Scudder came back with 3 strikes in the final frames to retain his crown. Week number 3, we travel across the river to the Super Bowl. Terry Ciccone rolled to an incredible 266 in the 2nd game to defeat Ron Pollard, then moved on to the finals where he squeaked by Don Scudder by 8 pins to take the crown. Week number 4, Northwest Lanes. Alan Downs gave Terry Ciccone a real scare in the championship game, but Terry held on to retain his crown, defeating Downs 236 to 216. Week number 5, Crossgate Lanes. Phil Evers, in his first television appearance, needed 5 pins in the final frame and answered the call with a strike to defeat 2-time king Terry Ciccone 205 to 199. Week number 6, Coleman Lanes. Chris Woods, taking advantage of his home lanes, chalked up a 730 series and defeated reigning king Phil Evers 236 to 172. Week number 7, Coleraine Bowl. Dwight Robinson caught fire in the 5th frame of the championship game and shut the door on Chris Woods 212 to 159. Week number 8, Harrison Bowl. Dwight Robinson again kept right on rolling to his 2nd straight king title, defeating Tim Roberts 192, 168. Week number 9, Seymour Lanes. Dwight Robinson ran into a hot bowler in Kim Herman. Kim rolled a 752 series to earn him his first BPA crown. Week number 10, Stumps Lanes. Kim Herman was denied his 2nd king title when he was stopped by a tough Ralph Goyette 204 to 160 in the championship game. Week number 11, Glenmore Bowl. Ron Thompson swept through the 3 games with a 190, a 214, and a 217 to unseat Ralph Goyette for the BPA crown. There is Tim Sharp's challenger, Earl Weatherford. He will be set to bowl against Sharp, who just bowled a 225. Weatherford